What's the issue? You need a tissue? Listen, we're going to figure out what the issue and how to deal with them next on the Given a Purpose podcast. Welcome to the Giving a Purpose podcast, where we bridge the highs, the lows, the lessons learned through life's journey and filling in the gap. You already know what this is, people. New week. Listen, I know you feel, man, it's a little bright in here, man. I wanted to use the natural sunlight to see what was good. All right, man. But you know, I need that new energy, that new focus, that new love for your goals, making sure we're staying focused on what we said we wanted to do, right? Make sure we are in line with what we said we were going to do. We're going to be disciplined. We're going to stay committed, and we're going to stay consistent on that. I am your host, Mr. LA, for this show, as always. Man, it's like sometimes, even though I do this weekly, I miss you guys sometimes, man. And while we get into these summer months, you're going to see a lot more of me. I'm going to bring some lives to you. I'm bringing some more videos, some more content, so you guys can enjoy all of this good stuff that we're trying to do. Man, I am so proud to do this every week, man. And I want to thank you guys. So if this is your first time, and if it's not your first time and you've been watching and you ain't did what you're supposed to do, man, in that corner right there, man, I need you to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell so you get the notifications. All right. So you can get all these new, fresh weekly episodes. So, man, I want to talk to you guys today about issues, right? What's the issue? If you got an issue, grab a tissue. Like, you've heard so many things about it, but I really want to talk about issues. And what I mean by that is when we have problems that are either brought about by drama. Now I want to say drama, but trauma in our lives, and we don't deal with it. And they begin to fester and they begin to grow, and we don't actually deal with the issue. And so what happens is in life is we actually deal with the reaction from whatever situation brings up that old trauma from the issue. And what happens is it creates a cycle of reactions because we're not dealing with the issue. And if we actually deal with the issue, right, then we can grow. Like, I know some people have relationship issues, and I'm not talking about necessarily husband, wife, boyfriend, and girlfriend. You may have family relationship issues. Some of us may not have grown up with our fathers or grown up with our mothers, or, you know, just having different type of things, you know, just to kind of give an example. And every time you get into a situation where it has to do with a relationship, you are reverting back to a trauma, right? And it's creating a reaction. And the person that you're having this reaction is receiving all of whatever it is that you're giving out because of a trauma, and you not dealing with the issue of it. All right. Because when you get to the root of the issue, it's just like almost having an addiction, right? Sometimes people are trying to fix, you know, like, you know, if you have a drug addiction, they always tell you the first thing you got to do is admit you have a problem, right? And then deal with the issues of it. Those are the steps that they go through in dealing with the issues and helping out the mindset. So when you get to a point where things can be triggered, because the things don't necessarily stop, don't necessarily stop you from having the triggers, but it helps you deal with the triggers that you don't have to react to it. All right. And it happens in all facets of life. It happens to me all the time teaching. I have a lot of students that come through, and when dealing with them or their parents, in this case, sometimes they're trying to figure out, well, my child is doing this, my child is doing that, and why do they have this grade? And I said it's because sometimes, most of the times when people are not successful, and I'll just take, for example, one of the classes that I teach, Algebra 2. One of the things that is not, the Algebra 2 is not difficult for them. The issue actually is nobody took the time to help them with their multiplication. And so when they get into a part of the algebra, because a bunch of algebra is, we're dealing with a lot of variables. And so we're just plugging in numbers. And it's not the plugging in and the doing the things like that. It's the fact that now I'm asking you to multiply something, or I'm asking you to divide something, or I'm asking you to do some of the basic things, or some of the things you should have learned a long time ago that somebody could have just pushed you through and not held you accountable for actually learning it. All right. And because, sometimes we're in the technology age, it's just so easy to just type it in. You're not doing it for learning purposes. And so when they're not successful in my class, it's not because they can't do Algebra 2. All right. We already know you came into the class, you don't know how to do Algebra 2. But like I said, when you break it down to its simplicity, it really comes to they aren't confident, or nobody held them accountable to multiplying. And I tell parents, it's like, we have to deal with that issue. You have to go back to some basic with some things. So you may have to get them some flashcards. You may have to get them to practice. Like I had a student one time helping her out with a problem we were doing in class. And she literally had to run back to her desk to get her calculator, because I was like, so what's 8 times 5, right? And she was like, hold on, I'll be right back. And she had to run to her desk, type it in, because it's not something that she knew. And for them, they would always say, it's like mental math. Well, it's not necessarily mental math. I mean, for us, it's an expectation of something you should know by the time you get to the 11th or 12th grade. You should know your multiplications. I'm not saying that you got to know 55 times 55, but 1 through 12, I think, should be a standard or something that you should know, that you can get through just some basic things. But the point is, what I don't want you guys to miss is, we never actually deal with the issue. And the issue is, they need help with multiplication sometimes. And like I said, when we're dealing with relationships, or we're dealing with different issues, we often get in arguments because, well, let me say this. We get in arguments, and sometimes arguments have cycles because they never get dealt with, because you're maybe arguing about feelings, or you may be arguing about the reaction that was brought up from it, but you never actually deal with the issue. And sometimes when you take the time to say, well, what's the real issue? How can we fix this so this does not keep coming up? And that's where the healing begins. And that's where the breakthrough of going forward comes to light. So I want you guys to focus on that. Listen, man, this is all about self. Your self-investment coach. So this is what I want you guys to do for self. I want you to focus on dealing with the issue and then making a decision from there. All right. This is going to help you with growing yourself. This is going to help you in relationships. This is going to help you in life. Break it down to its simplicity and figure out what the actual issue is. All right. And that'll kind of solve the problems. Listen, I hope this blessed you guys in a great way. All right. I want you guys to grow. I want you to start with self. Listen, the first part of growth we got to start with, we have to assess ourselves, and we have to make sure we're planting seeds in ourselves as well, so we can grow, so we can be the best that we can be, so we can do the best that we can do and fulfill our purpose that we were sent here for. Listen, man, I appreciate you guys checking in with me each and every week. Make sure you keep doing it, man. I love you guys and I appreciate you guys. Do the most important thing I need you guys to do for me, as always, and that is make sure you live on purpose and make sure you live in purpose. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
You've been listening to the Giving a Purpose podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or Google Play to get new, fresh weekly episodes. For more, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.